John had alerted us. I'm sorry about my voice. As you can see, I'm wearing oxygen and I have a very difficult time carrying on much of a conversation. Uh, Sean had alerted us that you intend to uh, refurbish or replace the windows at Abbott House. Is that the essence of
That,
your
that is, that is correct, yes,
great,
yes.
great? Can you describe
Yeah,
what the plan is?
so, what we would like to do, basically for the view of the folks, if you didn't know, Greg Johnson, the president, is moving into that house where he was living now, he's the president, he's moving into the Abbott House. And we've gone in and done some painting and some things like that, and we noticed the windows, some of them are really old, really cracked. Single pane, not very energy efficient at all, so we'd like to replace all the windows in there. The windows that are in there are I call them 6x6s. Replacements are really expensive. What Craig would like to do is just get 2x2s to be able to have a view out across and see the view that he has, and they're about half price compared to the 6x6 windows that are in there now. So I guess what I was here was giving you guys to just letting you know that that was our plan, was, to keep, we're gonna replace the front door also. But we're gonna keep the historical look of it. It's a big door that's got gaps like that it's just an old house. It's got more gas than anything else. So we're trying to make it a little more energy efficient, to make it more comfortable for everybody, and hopefully save us some energy efficiency monies too. So placing the windows and the doors in there, tighten it up a little bit. We've got some blown in insulation coming in another couple weeks to try to insulate the walls, because as you can imagine, it's just all slab walls, so that's all we can do. So what I want to come down here and let you folks know is we are going to replace the windows, and where they are 6x6s, we want to kind of change them to just 2x2s. So I want to give you the courtesy of letting you know that's what we're looking to do.
How many windows in total?
There's 17 windows total around the building.
And you're gonna replace all 17?
Yes.
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's not gonna be a mix of 6x6s
No,
and 2x2s?
No, I'd like to keep it all the same. Like I say, it was extremely, the price was shocking to me, the difference in the 6x6 to the 2x2. So I couldn't believe the price difference from what we had for quote, so.
We used to say 2x2, I mean,
Over.
an upper
Yes,
piece of
yeah,
glass.
there's still double hung windows like they're in there now.
But no.
There's just no grates and stuff that, correct. You know what I mean?
But the field, sorry. The filials
Yes,
can sort of be added
correct.
rather than cutting separate, 6/6 sort of paint.
Correct. That's still very expensive.
Really,
It is.
they don't just sort of stick on
They
it.
don't, not for what we wanted for windows, yeah, we could get a plastic insert and stick in there.
Yeah,
Just it.
no,
it
but nice wooden strips that stick in there.
Very
No,
expensive.
really.
I was shocked. I was
No,
shocked. It was probably, almost twice as much for those windows for the 6x6s.
hmm.
Yeah,
Peter, what is the date of the Abbott house? How old is it?
1806, I believe, is what we had for a date that we could find.
That makes total sense. Well, look, I'm gonna offer a couple of comments. The 2/2 window didn't exist in 1806. It just didn't exist. 6/6s, 12/12s, 8/12s, 12/8s, 9/6, etc. The 2/2 is a much later 19th century window style. Came about at first during the latter part of the Greek Revival period, and then through the rest of the 19th century. In fact, most people who built in the 19th century wanted their houses to look as if they were built in 1806 and reverted back to 6/6s and 12/12s, much like many of the later homes on Main Street. And I would strongly object to a 2/2 window. I had those I installed those in my house in Boston, which was built originally in 1861. And we used a window that was a very, very high performing window, very high performing window. It was made by Eagle. Well, Eagle is now the E series of Anderson windows. Anderson bought Eagle, and they're true divided lights. In other words, the 2/2, each light is separate, and it's double glazed. They were aluminum on the outside and wood on the inside, and they're a fantastic window. I and I think I installed about 30 of them in my house when I did it. Were they cheap? No. Is the Abbott House cheap? No. The Abbott House is a real icon in the town up on the hill there. And I would really implore you to look at uh, a good manufacturer who makes a 6/6 window. And then I have a follow-up question to that. And that is that, are these just replacement sash or are they replacement windows? The difference, pardon?
Windows.
Windows, because
Oh.
if it's a replacement sash, they still have a jamb around them and it shrinks.
Yeah,
The
no, the
glass,
whole,
it shrinks the glass size and the viewing surface by by the uh, by the dimension of the jams that have to be put into them. But if you're not doing that, that's great. Can you tell us whose window you're thinking about using?
yeah, so we're getting these custom made from Viking lumber. They're
I'm sorry, they're what?
Walcott is the name.
Okay, I'd love to see. I'll look them up. Walcott windows. Uh, uh, but I'm sorry it's taking me so long to get my words out.
You're fine.
It's you guys can hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
Take your time, Mark.
It's fine.
Uh, these you know, this is a one-time thing that you're gonna do for the next, who knows, 75 years or whatever you can get out of these windows. What is the exterior material of the actual? As I recall, they're white windows, or are they painted black? I can't remember.
Like they're white windows,
Yeah, and you have white storms on them,
yes.
and those are white aluminum storm windows. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
well, they're not storm windows, they're low-E double hungs with, and then we'll have screens in them.
Oh, okay. Oh, but they do have glass in them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Glass.
No, so just one window going in.
Yeah.
There's not another like at
Correct.
our house where we have combination.
Right.
Uh,
And it
and
does, it's just a single pane window is what's in there now, there's not even storm windows.
yeah, what do you intend to do with the voids? I I assume these are rope and pulley and weighted windows.
They are not,
They're not. No, the ones that are there.
no, they're not.
Oh, so
No, those are not original windows to the building that are in there now. Those have been, those have been replaced at some point. Those are not original 1806 windows.
Right, I get it. Are you, in terms of thermal performance, typically the most important aspect is what's called the crack, right? And the crack is the perimeter of the sash to the frame, obviously the frame to the structure, and the meeting rails, the sill conditions, and the heads. That's where most of the thermal loss occurs.
No, absolutely. Our crew has installed hundreds of windows across the campus, so I'm not concerned about that at all, that they'll get installed properly and we'll be able to realize some gains from that.
Is this Shay that's gonna be doing this?
No, we have our in-house crew will do it.
Okay. Because I think one of the most important things to do is to make sure that you are well sealed.
Oh, absolutely.
At the perimeters, because that's where all your loss, not all, it's where the major loss occurs in any window installation. And I would,
Yeah, and that's why there's no exterior insulation at all in the building, so that's why we're actually blowing in some insulation too. That it's a pretty cold house in the winter time.
I can well imagine. The other thing you might think about is that in the old voids where the original weights and pulley system worked, that gets filled with probably a closed cell urethane insulation.
Sure.
Because again, that's if you infrared scan a window opening like this, you'll see it just glows around the perimeter, not so much through the glass, but through the perimeter.
This one does both the glass and the perimeter. We have done that.
Well, Peter, the Historic Preservation Commission has no authority over what you do. We really appreciate you coming to us and offering us your thoughts and your solution. But I would implore you, and I don't know, I know it's more expensive, but I would implore you to replicate the windows because, as I said, it's such an important, beautiful 1806 mansion to change to a mid-19th century glazing solution. I don't think is I don't think it's appropriate, and I wish you could find the monies or the wherewithal or some way to do it to really go back and look at the 6/6s. I want to hear from the other members of the commission. And I'd love to hear from our code enforcement officer as well. I got to stop talking for a few minutes. Go ahead.
Are all 17 windows facing the street?
No.
Is
There
it-
are 7. I'm trying to count. There's 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, I think maybe facing the street.
Would it be possible for those
Or 8.
that face the street, that one sees the front of the house to be 6/6s, but not the rest? Financially, appearance wise?
It's certainly something, yeah, I mean, again, I think to your point, then you're changing the look of the other windows, but I know what you're saying, because we looked at the street facing view,
Exactly.
and that's what most people are gonna see. A lot of the windows you really can't see. If you go by the house, you won't see from the street.
Exactly, and the historic commissions I've worked with have always been more concerned with,
That front facing view.
yes,
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah.
And much more willing to have something more modern to the sides, especially if it's helping with keeping the house warm.
Sure.
I'm just wondering if it's worth looking at the figures.
Yeah.
And seeing if it's possible financially to do it by basically dividing this in two.
Yep. I will absolutely look at that and, I'm not gonna lie, I've thought about that. Again, I'm looking at the aesthetics of the whole house and my eye, cause I see the whole house when I'm up there. I'd like to keep it the same. But I can absolutely understand having that front facing view of looking more, original or looking
Yeah.
at least more.
And one other, no doubt, particularly silly question. Is it possible to recycle the filials, the old ones, in some fashion?
In those windows, I'm gonna be honest with you, I believe those are probably forties or fifties is when those were, but those aren't that, they're not. Really
Oh, they're
old.
not the old ones.
No, not at all, no, they're not lead glass or anything like that, they're. I'm thinking there's something that was replaced in the forties or fifties.
No, I
The top of
understand.
the line, 40s, 50s.
Absolutely, they were, but they don't open now, so there's no. Yeah.
No longer top of the line.
Yeah. Absolutely, I can look at that, this sort of thing, and we can see if we can make something like that happen, yeah.
Yeah, because it is the sort of,
Oh, I get it, I
to the street appearance of the
Sure,
place, it
sure.
keeps the historic.
Sure, and like I say, if I could do. We, and it's no secret, we're trying to stretch our dollars, and we're hurting.
Right,
But we also wanna make the places that we have, we've got 7, 8 old building, eight residences that we're trying to maintain. Where folks are living in them, and we're trying to
other things.
upgrade them as best we can, and try to keep all those features that they've had in them, the people, plastic and things like that. It's tough, we got 3 of them, it's still their basements in them. That are just.
Yeah.
and being the new boy, I'm just trying to understand a lot of things. Is there in Castine any sort of revolving fund for historic buildings? We had one in Princeton and people could sort of get money from that and use it for historic preservation projects.
We would be exempt from all of that stuff, because one, we're tax exempt,
Yes.
we're part of the state, and,
I get it,
yeah.
but I was just wondering, is there in Castine, there's no such fund? It's an interesting kind of endowment to build up, a revolving fund, because then people, anyway.
Yeah.
Good idea. It's good.
I'd like to, just make one comment. The Historic Preservation Commission really, has a purview over only those, facades or aspects of a building that can be seen from the, from the public view. Is that would you say that's correct, Sean?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, in this case, because the town really has no purview over this structure. We don't really have a say in any of it, but we have
I mean,
I-
in general.
but yes, to your point, I think what you're making overarching, yes, just what's viewable from the streetscape,
Even in this district.
even in the historic district.
Yes,
Nevertheless, if you're walking on Battle Avenue, you're going slowly enough. You can't see the windows on the side.
Absolutely.
So
Oh, yeah,
I'm
It is viewable from the streetscape, I think you're
the
absolutely,
whole,
Yeah.
the main house.
even driving, I mean, I think you'll notice.
yeah, you're gonna know more now, because we've talked about it, so every time you drive by, you're looking at
I
it.
just enjoy it.
Right.
But to your point, I mean, one, you can't get that close, you can drive by and see it, but you can't get close up to see.
Yeah, you
that it
can
goes
buy
through,
some
so-
garbage cans from that angle.
Right.
That's not the point.
Right, so is there sort of a phased approach where they put on 2,
That's-
and then later on add something
Maybe,
that
but
gives that
the
texture?
main view of that house is still from the front.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
oh, Peter, one other
Yes.
question I'd asked before, what is the exterior and interior material of the, sash? Is it aluminum or is it wood on the outside?
you're gonna ask me that, Larry, probably don't, Mark, I'm sure I don't have that right here, I don't think it's wood, it may be aluminum.
Yeah, well, it's a good material for, especially if it's got an anodized, paint, surface. Aluminum windows will outperform, uh, the wood windows,
Right?
by factor of I don't even know what. There's no question about it.
Yeah. I will do this, folks. I will go and run the numbers, because I can appreciate the front facade, even, like I say, I wanna come down here to just give you guys the overview, and I mean, we could have gone and just put them in but I don't wanna be that neighbor, and I know Craig doesn't either, so we wanted to make sure that whatever we do to that residence, and any of the places that we have, we wanna come to you folks and at least give you an update of what we're planning on doing before we, make some changes that are gonna be noticeable from what it was, so.
Can you also come to a rich alum and say, hey, how would you like to, with historic interest that you must
It's funny,
possess?
Rich alums do not give money to buildings.
Buildings, I know, that was true at my university as well.
They do
They
not.
want programs, they don't want
They don't.
concrete,
No.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a $40 million Curtis Hall project and $110 million dock, and
Yes.
they'd much rather give to the, which I think is great, give to the football team than to where the kids are gonna live. So,
Peter, if I may, I personally applaud your interest in being a really good neighbor. Uh, and, and I hope you can do the right thing. I have one other suggestion, and it's not I don't know if you can, justify this, but you have so many buildings, and you have buildings in the historic district as well. It might be worthwhile, and to, get a preservation architect on retainer who can help you with stuff like this. I just read an article yesterday about a John Calvin Stevens house in Portland where they replaced all of the windows and doors. They did a lot of other stuff, but they had a firm. I know, it's Barba and like Wheelock or something like that, a preservation firm. And I think, an institution like yours would be well served, because these people not only will look to do the right thing, but they can also help you, finding maybe, uh, options and other vendors that might not be, known to,
yes,
locally.
Mark, just so you know, we just started the process, it's been 20+ years, and I felt we needed to, we've actually hired Harriman Associates to do a facilities master plan for us.
Good
Um,
job,
they-
good job, good firm. They're a good firm.
Yeah, so they're in the process of,
Wrong meeting?
Are you looking for Harbor Committee?
Yeah.
It's in the basement.
Okay. I didn't recognize that.
they're in the process right now of doing a survey of what we have. And they're gonna come forward and, I think we've got commitments from the administration, from Craig and above to actually put some money into the facilities in the right way. We've got a couple of folks that have done some things with the Blaine House, with the State House, with some places in the Portland Brunswick area that have come up and we've looked up disputes, our big classroom building. If you look at the eaves around that building, they're falling down. That's gonna need some work, and we can't afford, we just don't have the wherewithal without committing it a bunch of money to that, to keep it the way it should be. I mean, we go up there, slap 2x6s and, put a trim up there, but that doesn't do the building justice, so. My plan is to work with these folks, figure out where we can go, and to your point, go and look at some of these other places that will come down and see these buildings. I mean, if you notice the new windows we put in Dismukes, those were original windows to that building from the 1940s. They didn't operate. We were spending tens of thousands of dollars a year in fuel and things like that. When we replaced the one tank last year, everybody to the students, to the staff, notice the difference in just the comfort of the building. So if you look around, we're replacing the rest of, it was a $1.5 million project to replace those windows in that building. You wouldn't think it was, but they're big, tall windows. We wanted to keep the big, tall look, you know. Could have closed it all in and put in double hungs. It just wouldn't have done the building justice, so.
You're right.
We're trying to do the right thing with it. With the things we have, it's just tough. But like I said,
I understand, I would say that the entire town of Castine has a lot of catching up to do on its infrastructure, and we don't have infinite monies either, as Sean could tell you from his days as town manager, and Derek could certainly affirm. But we're having to catch up.
yeah, and I wanna be wise. I mean, our money is 20% from the state and the rest comes from the students. You know, it's tuition money. So I wanna make sure when I'm spending the students' money, we can't raise the tuition anymore. If you're not aware, we're the highest tuition maritime school there is in the nation. So, and we try to keep our enrollment up. So we're trying to make sure that we're doing things the right way and spending our money wisely.
Do you also get federal funds?
Just for the ship.
Right.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Peter? Do you know about window dressers? Do you know what window dressers are?
Talking like curtains and things, or
No, no,
They're inserts that go from the inside, they're built. In here in November and all over the state, and they have two pieces of plastic. One on either side, obviously, and a lot of us use them in the winter
right?
and notice the difference.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, okay, I do know what you're saying. Yeah, yep.
okay,
Our hope is with the newer windows, it's gonna cure a lot of that. I think to Mark's point with the gaps and things, we're gonna try to seal that up a lot. But
well, if you can't do all of your windows.
oh no, we're gonna do,
Window
we're
dressers.
gonna do them all.
Window
It's just a matter of whether we want it in the front. Yeah. Yeah.
that's great. Peter, I don't have anything else. Uh, Anybody else on the commission? Otherwise, I'd like to, again, thank you for coming to us. And I know we don't have authority or purview, but this is a sign of being a good neighbor. Much appreciated.
Well, like I said, I came down to Sean and he said the same thing that, you know, I didn't need to come, I could just put the windows in, but I wouldn't have felt right doing that, but at least stop you folks and see what your thoughts were, so. Appreciate that. Thank you for having me, and I will get back to you with what I think we can probably do, and, you know, I think we're looking pretty seriously at what should be once, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, Nate, may I have the floor?
You may.
All right, I got two issues for the to think about.
Very solid.
Rose.
Oh, it does.
First is that the Wilson Museum has applied for the main museum to be listed on the National Register. This has never happened. I think this is the first new listing that we've had in 6 years. I got here June 12th of 2019, so yeah, this is the first new listing in Castine in 6 years. Or first new application. And that then goes to the State Historic Preservation Office, who then send that document to me. And it was in my box for a while. I didn't even know it was there. And then this is the first time I've had the opportunity to get everybody together with me. But they require a form. The form has is of a variety that I have no earthly idea what it is, so I called the State Historic Preservation Office today to kind of, hey, give me some guidance on what this thing needs to look like, but it is that either the local commission is for or against this listing. Wilson Museum built in 1921, I think is what they have listed there, and is of a unique museum design of that time, you know, fireproof, et cetera, et cetera. It's not quite completely original, at this point in time. It had an original asbestos roof, which they've done away with and put in, the
Copper,
metal,
copper.
yeah. Yeah, and then they enclosed, I think, the back porch or the side porch at one point in time, but the rest of the building is still original. But anyway, they have, nominated themselves for listing on the National Register. The Perkins House is already listed. And I don't think, what's their office building, you know what?
VA house.
Duty A House, thank you. The Duty A House, I'm not sure if it is or not, I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
I believe that this kind of, is. They're step by step, they're gonna get, they wanna get the, building listed. So anyway, once I receive some guidance from the State Historic Preservation Office, I'll be contacting you all for another out of cycle meeting. So that we can develop this form that we, you know, one, you guys need to vote on pro or con on the listing. And reading through it makes sense to me, but that'd be your all's decision, and then that letter needs to get back up to the State Historic Preservation Office by July 25th.
Okay.
And there are really three criteria that they list in this thing, and I'll gladly make a copy of this for anybody that wants it. It's double-sided, or I would have done it already, because, yeah, but that's that. I'm gonna be out of town from the 24th of this month through the 4th of July. So I can't do much with this while I'm gone. But after the 4th, I would be ready, willing, and able to get to work on this, with you all. But, my suggestion is that you all kind of, is there a point person that you would want to designate for this action? Can't really make decisions tonight, but we could have a colloquial, not a colloquial, a collegial decision or collegial discussion.
Okay. Well, if I may, I can, and you guys can probably tell that I'm not doing too well right now. And I don't think I can take on much of anything. And as I look at the other members that are here, I don't know, Larry, is this something that you would be willing to head up? Or Jeff or Brooke, let's have a little chat about it. But I can tell you guys that my participation in future decision making until I get, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Until I get some better direction from my healthcare professionals, uh, I I'm pretty much useless these days, and I can read things and I can offer commentary, but I can't even. I, I apologize. I'm just not able to.
Yeah, man, I will write this up myself and bring it to the commission for a vote before you lift a finger on this. You take care of you, man,
Yeah, sure.
okay?
Yeah.
You take care of you. This thing is, it's fairly rote. As I understand it, we may need to engage a landscape architect to come and say, yes, yea, verily, it is a good example of this architecture. It's all in the form. I'm looking for some guidance on the packaging as much as I am anything from the State Historic Preservation Office of, you know, what is that thing that you all want to see? How do you want this information given to you? And my guess is that they want it basically, okay, it's a narrative and, you know, they do mention because of a, federal statute that if, you know, if the application for the National Register is because of the unique architecture of that time and you do not have a landscape architect, not a landscape architect, excuse me, that's my next thing. Yeah, historic architect
Yeah.
on your commission, then you need to engage one and have them review it, put together a form letter, and we send it back. But again, I don't know how they want that packaged
Mhm.
and sent to them. So, I'll wait to hear back on that. If not, I'll give them another call tomorrow to, have that discussion.
And who pays for this?
The town will have to pay for that.
Not the facility? No.
It's my understanding that as one of our requirements as a certified local government is that this is one of the things that we would have to do to keep ourselves in good standing as one of the 11 certified local governments in the state of Maine.
Yeah. No, we could take this on, and it won't be that expensive. The other question, Sean, is that it'd be great to have, and maybe Sue or somebody can pull from the files a couple of the most recent applications for National Register status, because we can learn from that. We can find out who, for instance, what architect worked on it, what the form looked like. I cannot imagine that the federal government has changed the form or requirements very
Yeah,
much.
I thought of that earlier, Mark, but I don't believe we've had, again, I know we have not had one self-nomination in the last 6 years. And before that, I could not tell you when the last one was. But I thought of that earlier because I was gonna do the exact same thing. I was just like, hey, plagiarism is your term. I was just gonna pick up something and put it over and start transposing the language. And I can't think of, maybe you all would know, I can't think of what the last nomination and acceptance on the National Register was. Hell, we just found that we had an entire historic district and we didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know,
How about Bill Buchanan's house or the Day's house? Aren't they both on the register?
Yeah, Bill Buchanan does.
Yeah, I
you
know
can't, Ale House.
Yeah.
the Hale House is one, and maybe they self-nominated. Uh, and if so, then there's an example, and we could take a look at it and maybe even ask the state preservation office as they look at the historic register properties, if they have, I'm sure they have knowledge of it, if they can tell us what they are. Uh, anyway, listen, guys, I gotta get off.
Yeah.
But
You
but
got,
I have one request, guys. I'd like uh either Brooke or Jeff or Larry or even George, think about being an interim chair. I'll try to support as much as possible. Brooke, you have seniority. Uh, George and Larry, you don't, but you have great knowledge. I have great respect for all of your uh, leadership possibilities, but I need somebody else to lead for a while. And
Yeah, no problem.
and if you don't mind, I'm gonna leave the meeting right now.
No.
You take care of
Don't worry
yourself,
about that,
that's
Mark.
the most important thing.
Yep.
Thank you,
Mark.
Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, you take care of yourself.
Thank you.
I'd like to follow up on that. I would nominate Jeff to be the temporary chair of the meeting of the commission.
it's work session, can't nominate, can't, but next meeting,
Next meeting.
you can have a collegial discussion.
Yeah.
But at the next meeting, you can't chair a meeting from Zoom. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm actually, you can, but
Mark can't.
No,
right
it's
now.
fine.
he just can't do it,
Yeah.
and that's fine, you know? So at the next meeting, let's have that discussion and, call in an interim, but yes, somebody needs to chair. And, congratulations, you've already. Nominated, but- Okay, now this was, and I'm actually glad Mark, dropped off because I didn't want to get his blood pressure up. So the library has submitted a building and use application for a temporary structure, their tent. There was complaint saying they wanted the tent removed, and hasn't been permitted. It's always there, 6 months a year. It has been there for, I don't know how long. It was something they were doing before I got here for book sales.
Yep.
So they've been doing it for at least 6 years. And it's never been something that I thought was worthwhile to take any action on until there was a complaint. And then I said, okay, well, constituent complains, I need to look at it. If it's on or in the ground for more than 10 days at a time, it is a structure,
Wow, okay.
okay? Now, we don't have one thing in the zoning ordinance that would prohibit them putting that tent there. As long as it meets setback requirements, which it does. We're measured. That's my how to spend my day. So they can have it, but if I do a building and use application for a temporary tent, do I need a historic preservation certificate before they can put their temporary tent up? I don't know, because it doesn't reference anything like that in the historic preservation ordinance.
No, it doesn't.
There's no like, oh, for temporary structures, you can do this, right? So there's no guidance.
Yeah.
So I'd like you all to think about this. I'm gonna bring this up at the next meeting. And to me, I'll use a term I used to love in the military, which is it's not a hill to die on.
No,
However, I'm also a rule follower.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this, other than I'm gonna prove it. But because the ordinance doesn't reference a temporary structure in the historic district. But much like Peter, I'm like, well, you know what? I'd really like to run this by you guys and
Sure.
talk to you about it, because I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
You know? But it's basically, someone that doesn't like the looks of it.
Yeah.
And I can get that. Kids that sit underneath it and read in the summertime love the looks of it,
A lot
but
of people do.
lots
a lot
of people do.
a lot of people do.
It's a lot of use.
It does get a lot of use.
Absolutely.
I walked up after the last day of school and there were like 10 kids hanging out and like they're reading it, they love it, but. That being said, right is right. It is in the ordinance that says, structure. Anything on or in the ground for more than 10 days at a time, or it actually says tents on or in the ground for more than 10 days at a time. Meet the definition of a structure. Well, an expansion of your structure. More than 10 days would require a permit.
Mhm.
And so library reproached me about this, and I said, well, your solution is that every year you just wipe the dust off of a building and use application, you put it in,
You
and
approve
you're,
it.
and you're good.
Yeah.
Or you take it down on the 10th day and put it up on the 11th.
Yeah, I mean, but there's no money changing.
No, no,
hands,
right.
They're a department of the town. It's not like,
No,
oh,
no.
we're gonna get rich on permitting, a tent.
Sure. Do they own the tent?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was given to them.
Yeah, it used to be what they used for, their book sales.
Yeah.
And then they found that people liked to sit out there and work on Wi-Fi. Before Fidium, upgraded our Wi-Fi across town.
Mhm.
And so people would come in from off neck, and that's a lot of times they were sitting there working.
Sure.
Okay. And then during COVID, of course, it got a heavy usage because we didn't want to shut town's facilities down.
Mhm.
So a lot of people started using it then. And so then it just became a fixture,
Mhm.
for the summertime. So, but again, what the rule says versus what maybe everyone wants, they're kind of two different things, or at least there's a gap there between those
Yeah.
two things.
Yeah.
The complaint is just about its appearance.
Oh, I'm not gonna editorialize on what I think the complaint, it stems from, but, I think it doesn't really matter. It
But our only concern is.
So we can make up our own stories about it, can't we?
Yeah.
If you don't know it already, yes.
I believe that there are a good number of property owners in town that maybe leave town, in say July or August, and they come back in May and they are aghast if the town isn't exactly the way they left it.
You know,
in
they're all
July
like
or
alumni
August.
of colleges, they
Sure.
wanted to stay the way it always was.
They want it to be the same experience every summer when they
Can't
come
tell
in.
you how often I dealt with that.
And you know, whatever.
So, I have a question.
Mhm.
Technically, you can't approve it.
I think I can, yes, but the only real hook that I have in the historic preservation ordinance that allows me basically to overrule the commission, so to speak, is if it is a safety, economic or practicality type of issue that says, okay, I'm not taking this to you all because, again, like with the Manning House, 65% of the foundation was not there. To save that structure, they needed a new foundation. Okay, I'm taking that out of your all's purview. You all can talk about what the facade looks like, but the foundation's going back in to save the house.
Yeah.
However, but this isn't any of those. It doesn't meet that criteria, in my opinion. You know, I don't think I have the authority to authorize the permit. But my question is, does it require a certificate? Because most building and use applications inside the historic district would require a certificate.
Well, not to sound too much like the lawyer, when is attempt, or when is attempt not attempt? I mean, the only provision you've got in this thing is something that mentions temp. Otherwise, the issue would probably be, does it clearly violate something in the statute?
It
Which
doesn't.
it clearly does not. So now we can play games with when there's a tenth attempt, and this isn't really a tenth because it doesn't have.
And I
sides,
kind of-
when
I-
there's
I thought-
nobody's sleeping.
I thought about that, trying to, not that I'm a lawyer, but I thought about that.
You don't have to be a
Like,
lawyer.
say, you know,
I don't think it's a tenth, by the way. I would
uh,
never call it a tenth.
you know,
Canopy.
It's a canopy,
is, okay. Um,
and it's temporary.
it is
It's
temporary.
temporary.
It's seasonal.
Temporary, and so,
I mean, if you really wanna get out of this, you can get out of this by the definition.
They're,
It's not a
they're,
tenth.
they're actually ordering a new one that is more storm resistant, so it's gonna stand up to the
Well, I'm
wind a
gonna
lot.
roll them up so it doesn't look like a tenth.
Those,
Well, when the guy is in town.
It doesn't have walls.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I thought I'd get out of this by saying, well, you should plant more shade trees on your landscaping project and,
more trees.
you think that's gonna get you out?
well, I thought that was my poison pill to say, oh, well, just plant more shade
No, I
trees.
think I can get you out of the definition of a tenth. We'll see what the Supreme Court said about tenths.
And they said, no, that's a great idea, Sean. I was like, oh, shoot,
People sleep in tents, this isn't a tent.
it's a canopy.
Yeah,
It's a
Okay.
canopy.
Yeah.
But it is on or in the ground for more than 10 days at a time.
So what?
So
It's
you-
not a tent.
So you can,
That only applies if it were a
the
tent
CEO can. Okay, the
on its own.
application.
I think I could, yes.
Yes.
And I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it.
I have enough people around town that badmouth me already, so it's like,
And enough people who make good use of it on,
you know,
of this. of
I can
this
see it from my
tent.
office window and it doesn't bother me, so.
so. Yeah, you're not doing anything with the historic structure,
Yeah.
you know, we're not
No,
altering the historic
It's
structure. in this case.
temporary. That's in our ordinance, that anything that's
well, but
temporary.
it's at
But it's more than 10
10 days.
days.
But the definition of a structure, which I think is a little overly restrictive, but that's, you know, for next year's changes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will, thank you very much for the conversation. I'll just go ahead and approve this.
Mhm.
And we'll be done with it.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you all.
and then to this. Again, I will. If any of you all would like to take this on, or I will get this scanned and sent out to you all tomorrow to just kind of, so you can read through it. This is the actual draft application that they made. And I believe that this is the format that the state, I think this is where it's not clear to me. This is the format, the state already drafted what they would expect from you all.
Got it.
That you just need to like check a couple of boxes and send back, but it is something that you should discuss. But, you know, read through and discuss before you send it back to them. That's what I think this is, but it's like the first time I've ever seen this type of document,
Yeah.
so.
Send it around.
Okay.
I'll find out, you're gonna talk to them again.
Yeah, exactly. I called them today and I was like, okay, but they don't generally pick up on the first call. So,
Can we discuss this outside of a meeting?
um. By the letter of the law, no.
No.
This is a work session, so we can discuss anything we want
Here now,
here now.
yeah.
You just can't make any decisions here, you know, I mean,
We can't make any decisions when we get it tomorrow and discuss it via email. We can all
Yeah.
send our thoughts, but we can't have a conversation.
I mean, it's something like this, it's not going to be controversial, it's kind of like
Right.
the tent.
Right.
It's, you know, if you all were discussing the landscaping project outside, you're
Yeah.
wrong,
Right,
okay?
right.
If you all were discussing, you know, whether you're going to vote for or against a project, but this is, it's a nomination to the National Register.
Okay, good.
So, you know, I'd like to live by a reasonable man theory, reasonable person theory. Not wake up every morning saying, how am I gonna mess things up today, you know?
Yes.
That's not the way I normally say that.
Yeah, I'm curious, I don't look at it.
I'll make copies of this and get them scanned and sent out.
That's good.
All right, thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Which house is you?
We live between Fort George and Abbott House. It's a farmhouse in
On which side?
Battle Avenue,
On Battle.
across from the county parking lot.
Okay, not as far as after, that's all, or,
Oh, no,
yeah, up the side.
Is there an official name for your house? Is it the Bates
it's Grandview.
Grand